GM. GM. So, trade of the day today is going to be a reminder of how to trade. Well, sorry, a couple of things. This is how I'm going to play it, right? I've been here before many times. And I know just intuitively that the next few weeks is when you're most likely to lose money if you're trying to trade the same way that you've traded for the past 3 months. And everybody else knows this as well. All other traders know this. And the smart ones just stop trading. And that's how you get low volatility. Right? The smart traders know we made a bunch of money on the way up here. If it is going to go up to here, that's cool. But that's not worth the risk of throwing away everything I made here. Because it could also go like that. Right? And that's how you get actually just something like this. Where it just sort of does that for a while. And just goes sideways. And it's not about whether this will happen or won't happen. It's about the probability. And to me, the probabilities are high that we see this. And so because of that, I'm just going to step back. Myself, I'm not going to trade much on centralized alts. You know, I've got my Unibot, my Multibit, a few shit coins here and there. And then I've just holding Ethereum. What I'm going to do is buy support when we reach it and play smaller bounces. So, really simple. I'm just going to draw a box here on total 3. This is quite clearly strong support. Next time price comes into that, I'll get long if it's holding and I'll play a small bounce. On some alts, that'll be like 20-30% bounce. And so I'll find the ones that have decent setups. But the point is, I don't think you want to be buying here in the middle of nowhere. I certainly don't think you want to be buying up here. And so if you're going to buy anywhere, buy there. Right? Simple. The difference is, when we come back to support all these other times, everyone was holding on because they're like, new highs. So people have bought, down here or here and they're waiting for new highs. I just think when new highs don't come, they're all going to capitulate back into support. And that's what we can buy, get a quick bounce, maybe it goes sideways one more time, and then away it goes. You can also just choose to not trade at all. But what I want to say really clearly is, if you even just go to total as well, the market itself, you want to buy where there is strong support, okay? The total market cap has strong support here at 1.5 trillion. I would say we probably revisit that at some point in the next few weeks. Because that, if you just look at it, if you don't look at the Bitcoin chart, right? Bitcoin chart around 40k is pretty solid. But if Bitcoin went to 40k, that would take the total cap down probably to here, right? It would take the total cap down to here. But then if alts go down more than Bitcoin, it could take us back down into this area easily. So Bitcoin drifting down to 40k, 39.5, 39, reclaiming 40, that will probably take the total cap into this area. And again, that's the strong support. I don't see this as being like super strong support for the total market cap, because we have support held here, wicked all the way down here, multiple pushes below. I think that's an interim support. I think that can produce a bounce, but quite likely we just kind of drift over into there, and that's your best place to buy, right, for your short-term bounces, or if you want to buy more spot bags or whatever. So keep it really simple. 1.5 trillion on the total cap makes sense for me. So like 1.52 would be fine initially. I'd be like, support. And that's where I'd start to look at buying this fucking thing, man. Trading view being trading view. Right? And total 3 is a really clear support at this kind of 450, and both of those are round numbers, so 1.5 and 450, but set your alerts before that. And those would be the levels that I would look at. Now, you have to also remember that when it gets to those levels, it's not just gonna, whoop, bing, there we go, boom, nice entry. No, quite often it'll come down and it'll actually go below it, and it'll make people think that that is now flipped into resistance, and then it'll reclaim, and then it'll go. Right? Because that's the trap. It has to make people think that that level's lost, and oh, we're going lower, we're going lower, we're going lower. So in any case, my advice would be just don't trade. Trade less frequently, and if you are going to trade, it's probably, this market is probably just a trader's market for lower time frame traders at the moment, who have systems set up for this purpose. If you're a trend trader that wants to catch big moves, it's probably not your market for the next few weeks. Because, look, what people are forgetting is the next target is all-time high. If you look at how the market moves, when it breaks its bottoming range, right, when it breaks out of that bottom range, as soon as it broke out of here, over this part, the target was set. We broke the bear market. The inevitable target is all-time high. And what does it do? Sideways chop for several weeks, moves up, sideways chop for a few weeks, and then starts to kind of grind all the way up. Same thing here. We have broken it, convincingly broken it to the upside. Right? So we've broken that level. The market would not have broken up here and had so many weekly and even monthly closes above if it wasn't now going to target the all-time high. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a straight line. If anything, it's going to build a base, move up, build a smaller base, and then start to kind of relentlessly grind up. But that's like, you're talking 3 months maybe of sideways. You're talking then a pump up, and then maybe another 6 weeks of sideways, and then it kind of starts to grind higher. And that's in the most bullish scenario. That's not to mention the possibility for bigger shakeouts, leverage flush, whatever. So I think if we're back at these, let's just take a previous cycle coin like Aave, for example, was one of the ones that I refer back to quite a bit. The 200-day moving average will probably not get touched here, but I'll leave on the 50 and the 100 to show you what I mean. So when you're looking at these previous cycles, I think we're somewhere probably like on certain alts, we're probably somewhere like here, right, where we've moved up and it has to go sideways for a few weeks, maybe even longer than that. We could be at this point where stuff is going to flush back to the 200-day and give you an entry. That is possible. Otherwise, I just think it can be a sideways choppy market where you don't get your full correction into the 200-day, right? So the time for the 200-day, remember, like Aave came to the 200-day in October 2020, which would be like the end of this year if you're doing the 4-year cycle. So there's potential for coins to go a lot higher or just go sideways or pull back but not pull all the way back to 200, right? And many coins, didn't do this kind of up only move. I don't know, like if you just pick a more of a shit coin from last cycle, like Litecoin, or it was just like sort of like this. Right, we have some of them that are kind of in this area and they move up, and they're sideways, and they move up, and they're sideways. But this all came after the point of having a lot of money printing and stuff was just grinding higher relentlessly. I don't see that as being the most probable outcome here. I actually think that if you look at like Litecoin right now, it's actually below its 200-day, right? So this isn't a bullish market for Litecoin. And when Litecoin was last below its 200-day, pops above it, fake out, back below it, chops around. And that's indicative of the whole market. Litecoin's weak. Litecoin's a shit coin. But Litecoin can do this, pop up, drop back, chop around, eventually come up, and then have a pump. But if Litecoin does that, it broadly means a lot of alts are also going to just not go up a lot. When Litecoin has its pump like this, there's going to be other alts that make new highs, the stronger ones. But as a whole, the market is going to get more tricky for a few weeks, in my opinion. So the way to trade it is pick whatever alt you want. Helium, that's a common, a popular coin, right? Daily support, just buy daily support, right? Daily support, it'll drift back down into it. This is quite clearly a strong daily support. Yeah. Price came up into this area, held, it was resistance, broke above it, back down, retested it. Helium probably come all the way back down to here. That's your time to buy it. Bounce up, probably comes down again, and then it'll build up and go higher. That's kind of what I'm expecting for strong alts. I don't see helium going like that, because if it does just keep going up and up and up, it's actually just going to make the sell-off worse. I think you just want to look at, go and mark a bunch of alts. Where is daily support? There's daily support on helium. Right? What else has been going on? Like Avalanche. Daily support on Avalanche is either forming or yet to form. I'd say it's probably forming around here. So I wouldn't be surprised if daily support is somewhere around here on Avalanche. Maybe it holds here. Maybe it goes a little bit lower and just forms that. Right? You have to let these supports form. Solana has a solid daily support right now. It could well bounce up a little bit off it initially, come back to it, hold it, and away it goes. Cardano, I'm just picking completely at random. The more random coins you look at, where is the daily support? Right? A lot of these have had bounces off their recent lows, but this bounce off the recent lows for Cardano still needs a confirmation, in my opinion. So yes, it can go grinding higher, but once it comes down again and holds again, that's going to be your proof that this is actually daily support. Because Cardano is also in a lower time frame downtrend. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Cardano could easily go lower, and maybe it has to come back to this area. Maybe that's daily support for Cardano. And so when you frame it like that, it doesn't make sense to get long Cardano here. It makes sense if that holds, that can be daily support. If it goes lower, right, and holds there, it bounces up, confirms it. You want to be looking for stuff like this, FTRs or double bottoms. So Cardano could do that, double bottom here. If it does that, that's probably support. If not, it might go lower and set another one. And just go over and over and over. What else has been running hard? Injective. Right, Injective probably needs to spend quite a bit of time forming its daily support level. It's this deep wick down here into this block. Like this whole block, I would say from the very low to the top of that wick, or the bottom of this wick down. I think this is a rock solid support if Injective can confirm it. So maybe it sweeps the highs, comes back down, maybe it even dips below. But if it just holds this level, that's where you're looking at Injective to confirm that this is support. And it might take the highs first and trap people and flush 40%, 35%. But look at that. You could see a 36, 35% sell-off on Injective, and it's still into solid daily support. So I think the patient people, patient traders will be rewarded. Stuff like this that's close to its highs, I want you to mark these and then put your alerts, false breakout. Right? And it doesn't mean it's going to be one, but watch for one. If people start to ape in above these highs, that's when you can see them getting flushed back out. I've covered this quite a bit with the blue belts and some of the streams. This was like the same thing that happened with Arbitrum over here, where we had Arbitrum pushing above these highs, right? And that's where other people ape into the false breakout and get trapped. And where does it go down to? Support. Look at this whole area. Just where that deep wick was, previous breakout level, it came back down, support, support. This is the pattern. Low, higher low, FTR. So that's the failure to return. That's bullish. Double bottom is bullish. The sweep is bullish. You know, any of these are bullish, but you have to wait for multiple confirmations. Do you think that this is rock solid support forming on Arbitrum? I don't. I don't at all. I go back to my daily and I would look at it and I would say this area on ARB, which is also the 50 EMA that's rising, I would say that area is the most likely support. And you've got the old all-time high. Yeah, it might dip back below it. That's going to fake people out and trap them into selling. But if Arbitrum does that and chops around its old all-time high and holds, that's rock solid support. 150, 160 area. Optimism just picking out a bunch of coins. Like here for op, we've got a clear resistance and we've had a false breakout. So what happens to these false breakout buyers? Well, we know they get punished more often than not. And if they're going to get punished for buying that false breakout, price is probably going to come back down and retest the support. So is optimism going to hold here? Is it going to try and go below, reclaim, hold? Well, then that's your solid support in the orange box. It can always go lower as well, don't forget that. But if it does confirm these, and this is what the thing that this takes is time. Pepe, which I've talked about on daily levels, that I'm gonna close it on the next bounce probably. It doesn't mean I'm bearish on Pepe. Pepe obviously has a solid support level down here, and support will remain as support, until it's broken. So unless you see a close below it, that is still support. But I could easily see it wicking below, coming up, touching again, and just spending some weeks confirming all this as support before having a run. And over and over and over, if I just keep doing it, just keep looking at coins and look for daily and even weekly support. Lido is another coin that's been running a lot. Go out to your weekly. Where's the weekly support on Lido? Right, the actual weekly support is here. Right, that weekly close that led to this move up. Why couldn't Lido come back to that and confirm that as support and then go higher? It could. Is there a daily support in between? Not really. Right? Lido is still trending up. Lido can definitely go higher from here. Definitely could. Would it interest me? Not particularly. I would look at this previous breakout level here and say that's probably something that would need to be confirmed as support. It was resistance, we broke out, it wicked below it, it pushed up, it front ran it. But like if Lido came back like that, held there, and started to push up, I would say yeah, that's solid. At 260 level is now support. Again, just takes time. And over and over and over and over again. Say is one of the biggest runners so far. To me, this is looking like a primed for one of those false breakouts, back down. Where is support going to form? Is that going to be support for Say? Right? Is this level that has been tested a couple of times, is that going to hold the support? Or is it going to have to drift lower? That's what you need to be on the lookout for. I would say also Blur is one that I've got my eye on. So Blur has pushed above this high here, where, let me see, that doesn't, right there. Blur, there we go. There's Blur. And what I'd be looking at on Blur is it's now done a false breakout at the highs. Talked about this yesterday. I said I wouldn't buy that, right? Because when it breaks those highs and people ape into the false breakout, the most likely path is for them to get flushed back to support, right? And generally, if it flushes back, bounces up, retests, holds, that's when it's going to push back up to the highs, maybe sweep the highs, maybe come back in, consolidate, and away it goes. But what you're looking at is, here's support on Blur. Don't buy resistance, don't buy the false breakout, buy support. And as I look across the market, I just see a bunch of coins at that sort of level. And so, sure, yeah, it could pump a lot more. But to me, there's just a lot of coins that need to confirm their support and resistances. Let's look at a couple of AI coins. Like Fetch, for example. If I look at the full chart. Fetch for me has a strong weekly level around here, which you can see. Right, so that was a resistance, a resistance, a resistance, resistance, broke above it. It's now holding a support. But if we go down into the daily then, I would say Fetch can easily drift back down into this area, fake people out, chop them up, and away we go. Maybe it does a false breakout first, maybe it pushes to the highs first, who knows. But I would say until Fetch shows that 50 cents really is support, I wouldn't be buying Fetch here either. And over and over and over, I've probably shown enough examples, but I think you can see that whatever coin you pick out, most of them are not really at levels where I would want to be a buyer just yet. Filecoin, another one. Like, this is just in the middle of nowhere. Right, so Filecoin has had a low and a high and a low and a high And what's to stop it just going down here and doing this? Not much. Like, it's not bullish. Filecoin's not bullish yet. And a lot of these weeklies, like look at that weekly from 2 weeks ago. That's an ugly weekly. That's a reversal, at least in the short term. So to me, it's pretty clear. The daily supports, the weekly supports are below us, not above us. Like weekly support on Matic is down here. That's weekly support. If Matic goes down like that, up again, and away it goes, that wouldn't surprise. Flip down to the daily. You're like, okay, how could Matic invalidate that? Well, maybe this is daily support. But for me, it would have to at least push higher, right? So if Matic makes a new high from here, it's quite likely this is daily support. But I wouldn't be surprised again if Matic goes down below that, holds it, pushes up. That would confirm that as support. If not, it could easily go to this area. So no rush for me on buying any of these things. I think there'll be a lot of times where you think it's going higher, times where you think it's going lower. A lot of this is just going to be consolidation. And so you want to mark your daily supports. If you want to short-term trade them, buy at daily support, sell after the rally, sell after the bounce. Don't be holding it for new highs. Unless it's a spot coin that you want to hold longer term, like say for me, a cash. If it come back to a strong daily support, like where is daily support on a cash? We don't know. This is rock solid down here. If it comes back, here's a really nice level here if it comes back, and then here's the current level. But again, is this confirmed? No. If a cash holds that, pushes up, holds it, pushes up, then it's starting to form a daily support. But if it doesn't, it can easily trend down into this one and hold there, and maybe that's it, and it goes higher, right? So over and over and over again across the whole market, I just see a lot of these that need to form their supports, and they haven't formed yet. So obviously stuff can go a lot higher, and a lot of stuff will go higher, but a lot of stuff's just going to really drift sideways, in my opinion, with lower volatility. So my advice is I would zoom out, trade less, understand that the market might go quiet for a bit, and you'll probably do better by trading less. GM.